with TrackMan to chart it. And then by May 15th, about the second week of the league, I want to see some improvement and control that improvement. So the total project time is actually less than 15 weeks. My sponsor is me. I'm the project leader. And my team members vicariously, Peter Finch will be via YouTube. And then obviously our club pros, particularly Connor, who sets me up almost every Tuesday when I go in to swing the golf club. And the key stakeholders are going to be my colleagues. Now, why do I want to do this tool? The first tool after the charter is the SIPOC. And as you can see, it's used in a lot of different places in a project. Over and over again, we return to it over and over in the various phases of the project. And we'll cover these phases obviously in more detail. But you'll notice that the SIPOC shows up over and over. And the best way to understand a SIPOC is actually to build one. It stands for suppliers, inputs, process outputs, customers. Has all this information in it. But there is a recipe for how to build a SIPOC. So let's look at my process first and look at that swing. We'll look at a couple of these. Some of them aren't great. Some of them are okay. And then we can also look at the data. And oftentimes when one looks at a process, they think they immediately know what the issue is. I actually think I know what the issue is with my golf swing. I did not realize my backswing was that short. However, when you look at the data for a guy that's in his upper 50s, the data doesn't look all that terrible. But that's a view of it. So let's build a SIPOC map. Again, suppliers, inputs, process, outputs, and customers. Now we kind of do it in a different form. So here's the recipe. The first thing we do is list the boundaries of the process being investigated. In our case, that's going to be tee up to the ball being struck. The next phase we look at, or the next section in the recipe, is to list the high-level major tasks of the process. We don't want to go into a lot of detail here. Think that we're flying at the 30,000-foot way. We might be able to see a couple of interstate highways going in and out. We might be able to see a river, but we're not going to tell street names if we're 30,000 feet above. Well, that's kind of what we want right here. And so in our process, my process of my swing, it's tee it up, align it, backswing, strike the ball. Recipe step number 3, we list our customers. Notice we didn't start with the S and work to the C. We actually started in the middle. Now we're going to go see who our customers are because we need to hear their voice. In our case, my customers are myself, my wife, and my colleagues. Obviously, my wife likes me to win. It usually means nice things when I come home. Actually, my kids I could list as well when I come home. And then my colleagues, because they want me to play well when we're on the same team. They want me to play well. Now, when we're not on the same team, they don't. But in this, and for this particular circumstance, we're going to say colleagues or customers and not competitors. The next recipe step is then to list the outputs of the process. What comes out of the process? Usually we think products and services, byproducts, invoices, if we have invoices, etc. Our process is a little bit simpler. Our output from our process is a ball in play. That's all we're going to put there. That is the output of that golf swing, is a ball in play. It is not speed and quality and cost. We're going to list those later down at the bottom. The actual output of the process is that ball, hopefully on the fairway down the middle. The next step is to list the inputs. What do you have to have physically or electronically to go into your process? And we usually think parts, forms, raw materials, some kind of order, things like that. For us, we need the ball, we need a tee, we need our scorecard to tell us how far the hole is, we need wind direction. Those types of things we need before we set our ball in flight. Next step is the suppliers, who's supplying the inputs that go into our process. And that, again, for us, that's going to be Ping. That's the driver. I'm not going to change drivers. A Titleist, Callaway TaylorMade, etc. Now, the next thing I like to do when we get all of this done is I like to start to fill out that bottom part. In fact, that's vitally important, where we list the customer requirements. Typically, we think of customer requirements as speed, quality, and cost. And you think about almost everything you want faster You want it to be good quality, and you want it to cost as little as possible. For our little project, we're going to list them all at the end, but you can also go outputs, list your output metrics. That way you know before the customer gets it whether it's going to be in spec or not. And then ultimately we want the process and input indicators. Those are the things that we're probably going to put the locks on to make sure that our process holds in place. So if we put this all together for our particular project, you can see that my speed, when I want to measure speed, is going to be my landing distance greater than 230 yards. That's where I want my ball to land and then carry out, actually even further, 240. The quality we have is we want it on the fairway. We don't want it to be in the trees. We don't want it to be in the water. We want it to be on the fairway. And cost for us would be scuff marks on the ball. No customer wants scuff marks on the ball, and it's going to cost you money to put another ball into play. Now for the output, carry distance on the output of the software, that is the smash factor. And then the process variables are actually the club head speed. I'd like it to be greater than 95 miles an hour. As you saw, it's closer to 90. I'd like my spin rate to be less than 3,000 RPM. And then for the inputs, we could look at ball compression. We could look at ball type. So those are the types of things that I put on it. Now, is this everything? No. A SIPOC doesn't try to list everything up front, but it gives us the parameters, and it's a really good scoping tool to say what we want to look at. Now we'll go out and we'll drill down on this process map. But this process map can be used throughout the project in various areas, because we may determine that we need to change customer segments or look at a different customer segment. We may need to break down our goal from maybe driving distance to club head speed, perchance. But all those things we may want to use, and we'll use this SIPOC throughout. I hope you enjoyed this particular video. We're going to do more with it because this is an actual project I'm doing. I want to be ready to win money come May. Now, we won't get through with all these videos by May, but I'll have the video information by May when we start to record other, or as we record other videos. We'll have this information and we'll be able to play it back for you as we get to each phase of the DMAIC process. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked it, consider subscribing and hit the like button. We'll see you next week.